Hello and welcome to my brand new YouTube channel, all for you gorgeous ladies who are going through the menopause. You've tuned into this because like me, you're looking for answers. And out of everything else I've been through during my menopause, hot flushes are the one thing that absolutely do my head in. So here are my top tips for combating those dreaded hot flushes. Oh, hang on, before I start, make sure the puppies are pointing upwards. Lovely. Anything on the teeth? A very warm welcome to you. Welcome to Young at Heart. My name is Alison Hartnett. I've been going through the menopause now for about 5 or 6 years, and probably perimenopausal for about 2 to 3 years before that, before I really knew what was going on. Like lots of women out there, the menopause is robbing me of my waist. My face is falling apart and I've got hair growing in places I never knew existed. But no matter what's going on out here, I'm determined to stay young at heart. I'm really living through this, and I'm hoping that some of the things that I've picked up along the way will help you. So without further ado, let's get stuck into my top tips for combating those dreaded hot flushes. Top tip number 1. Know your enemy. In order to be able to combat something, you have to understand it first. So watch this short educational video and hopefully it will demonstrate to you exactly what I mean.
This is Mrs. Hartnett. Say hello, Mrs. Hartnett. What are you doing with that gun, you silly woman? You can't shoot hormones. Go and take it away immediately and go and get a pen. Go on. Shoo, shoo. Oh, that's more like it. Now she's demonstrating how estrogen jollies along during a 28-day cycle. You'll notice that there are some little peaks and troughs here and there. Now compare that to a lady who's going through the menopause. The estrogen starts to go all over the shop. Up, down, round and round. Before you know it, you're walking into rooms you don't know why you're there. You're having hot flushes and it's all gone wrong.
Yes, thank you for that informative video. So what are my own hot flushes like? Well, they're hideous. They start here, in my solar plexus. They move up, 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 up. The heat comes up into my head, in my neck. The sweat beads on my forehead and then starts to drip down the back of my neck and down my back itself. But I have to say, they're not as savage as they used to be. They don't last as long as they used to be, and that's because I'm following my own top tips. Top tip number 2, keep a diary. Keep a diary for a week. Log every meal you have and when you have it and what you ate, also what you drank. And besides that, also log your hot flushes, how long they were, how severe they were, and how they made you feel. And of course the frequency. By doing those 2 things, you can then work out what your triggers are and what really sets you off. Of course, this is much harder to do at night, but do your best to remember through the night how many hot flushes you had. My top tip number 3 is know your triggers. If you've kept a diary, by now you'll know exactly what sets you off. And of course, what sets me off? Everything that is absolutely yummy to eat. Chocolate, alcohol, sweet stuff, caffeine, basically anything that I really love, and my hot flushes go absolutely off the scale with them. Once you know your triggers, then you've got to decide whether you will accept them or avoid them. My top tip number 4 is exercise. Now don't worry, I'm not going to start making exercise videos anytime soon. But you know, if there's a hunky personal trainer out there who wants to come to my house and train me for free, I'd be up for that. Exercise is so important to you right now if you are having hot flushes. Your respiratory system and your heart needs to be strong to be able to cope with the stress of it all. And also, you're going to sweat heaps when you have hot flushes. Your body needs to be able to cope with it. My favourite exercises are Pilates and swimming. Not that I can get to the gym right now because we're in a lockdown in the UK because of this global pandemic. So I've substituted it for walking. But just do whatever you can to try and make yourself feel a bit fitter. It's all about your cardio exercise. Top tip number 5, hydrate. It's simple. Just drink lots and lots of water. At this time, you can't get enough of the stuff. You're going to sweat absolutely tons out of every pore in your body when you're having a really severe hot flush. You need to keep your water levels up. Good old-fashioned tap water if you're in an area where it's really nice to drink. Bottled water's okay, but it does have levels of sodium in it, so watch out for that. Personally, I have hot water. So I put a bit of cold water on top of boiling, and that keeps me hydrated all day long. I drink gallons of the stuff. It's not just good for your hot flushes, it's good for everything. Your skin, your hair, your body. So drink, drink, drink. Lay off the champagne. No, don't lay off the champagne. I love it. Top tip number 6. Layers, layers, layers. Think about what you're wearing. You want to be able to strip off quickly if a hot flush comes. So maybe wear, in the winter, a jumper over a shirt over a t-shirt. Then you can strip off at will. Just pick your clothes really wisely during the day and at bedtime as well. Watch out for shapewear. Gorgeous stuff for pulling it all in, shaping it all nicely. But unless you're going somewhere in a really tight dress and you're trying to impress, forget the shapewear. It's better to go au naturel than look like a boil in the bag. I want you to start thinking about the fabrics, the style, even the colour choice, and start making everything that you wear easy breezy. I mean, think about it. Do you need to wear those tights and that shapewear and that tight skirt and a jumper and some socks and some boots? And whilst we're talking about layers, don't forget at bedtime as well. It's probably best to have a sheet, then a blanket, and then something heavy on the top. Again, you can throw the layers off. My long-suffering husband often wakes up underneath 60 tog in the morning. I'm from that generation that grew up in the 60s and 70s, when that's exactly what our parents used to do. We didn't have duvets back then. They were posh. Even what you wear in bed is important. If you're someone who's going to wear a full-length nightie or a pair of pyjamas, you are going to boil. So maybe keep it to a lightweight cotton vest, pair of knickers, or even naked. Top tip number 7. Breathe and other distractions. Sometimes when you feel the heat rising, the best thing you can do, and I love this one, is to start breathing nice and slowly. I take in a breath for the count of 3, in through the nose. Out for 3, through the mouth. Let's do that again. Through the nose, in for 3. Out through the mouth for 3. It's great because you can do this absolutely anywhere and no one even need know that you're having a hot flush. It distracts your mind. It lowers your stress. It calms your heart down. But if that doesn't work for you, there are other distraction techniques that you can use. I like to put on music and have a little bop around the kitchen. If I'm outside, I'll pop in some headphones, listen to my favourite song, really listen to the lyrics, really get into it. You could do anything you want, anything that will distract you from what's happening right now. Top tip number 8, and my all-time favourite, get a fan. Let me introduce you to someone very, very special. Everybody, meet Fanny. This gorgeous little fan has been everywhere with me for years. She has been an absolute lifesaver. I'm not getting paid to endorse this, but I got her from Amazon, I think, for about £15. And this bad girl has been everywhere with me, to the office, on the train, on the bus, in my car, and at bedtime. What a godsend she is. This particular one has got a clip on it, so I can clip it to my bedstead if I want to. What I do is I leave her next to my bed with a damp flannel, and when I have a hot flush at night, I wipe myself down, wipe down my face, wipe down my chest, anything else I want to, and then I get Fanny on. Look at that. Oh, I love this thing. Amazing. So as you can see, I can't recommend a fan enough. Get anything you want. You can get those little tiny handheld things that will go in a handbag. It doesn't have to be as big as this. Or get a gigantic one that will fit in your bedroom if that's what you want. Now, I've got to show you something. My husband loved my Fanny so much He went and bought one for himself. Top tip number 9. Talk about it. Now this is one you may not have come across before, and it's very new to me as well, but a friend of mine who was going through the menopause said that she found it really, really helpful to tell people in the room with her that she was having hot flushes, that she was going through the menopause. There are some places where you just don't want to do that, and there are colleagues that might not appreciate it, but sometimes it's better to be open. Most people really don't think it's a big deal, but they will do if you start melting into the ground like the Wicked Witch from the West. You don't have to bang on about it. Usually just telling someone once is enough. I tried it before I retired from my job after 20 years. The people in my office, I shared the information with them, young men as well. It is difficult because if you're doing a job where you're working maybe with men or with younger people who may not understand what you're going through, I get that. But I think being honest about it does help. It relieves some of the stress and the tension that you feel when it's happening to you. Top tip number 10, embrace it. Again, this is another new one to me. I never thought about actually trying to enjoy a hot flush. I think enjoy is a strong word, but a friend of mine who teaches Pilates said to me, next time you're having a hot flush, just imagine you really getting your sweat on in an exercise class. Feel the toxins leaving your body out through your pores. So I tried that, the last one that I had, and do you know what? It really worked for me. It made me feel kind of invigorated. I really feel like I can get my sweat on and not bother too much about it. It's made them go so much faster as well. And I don't think about it much. Oh, think how much you'll save on those fuel bills every year, and how fabulous you're going to look in your strappy dress and your sandals whilst everyone else is wearing jumpers up to here. And as Taylor Swift would say, just shake it off. Top tip number 11 is beware of the internet sellers. This one's quite close to my heart. When I first started going through the menopause, I wanted to know everything there was about it. I researched different vitamins and herbs and spices and foods and nutrients, etc. And what I found when I was on good old Dr. Google is that you'd find an article, brilliant, but there was always someone trying to sell you something. I just wish people would be really genuine and tell you in the opening couple of lines or in the first 30 seconds of a video that's what they were up to. But just watch out that you don't get suckered into watching a 10-minute video so that right at the end they can tell you that if you take this magic pill or potion, all your symptoms will go away. Because they won't. There's something else to look out for on the internet as well, whilst we're on the subject, and that's forums. They do have their place. There's a wealth of information, but watch out for what I call the 13-year-old boy. You can go onto a thread and research the menopause. How do you know that the person giving you advice on the other end isn't a 13-year-old boy? The fact is, you don't know. My top tip number 12 is nutrition. By now you should already know what your triggers are and what will set off a hot flush. Equally, you need to know the things that you can have that are really good for you, because what goes in here and down there reflects on what goes on out here and also in your mind. You need the right vitamins and minerals to keep your body and your mind healthy. You need to have a nice balanced diet to get all the nutrients that you need to keep your lovely body and soul happy, and to stop your waist expanding by the second. Top tip number 13, HRT. This is such a personal decision. Only you and your GP and any specialist can decide whether this is right for you. I've been taking it now for about 2.5 years. It took me a long time to decide. I did so much research on the subject. I spoke to so many women who were taking it. I read articles about it. I Googled the out of it. In the end, my GP and I decided it was the absolute best thing for me. Since I've been taking it, I can honestly say I wish I'd taken it on day one. But remember ladies, we are all completely and beautifully unique. What works for me doesn't work for you, and vice versa. Don't think for a second that HRT is a cure. For me personally, it's just meant that my hot flushes aren't quite so severe. They're not quite as savage as they used to be, but I still get them. But best of all for me is it's reduced what I call my menopause madness. It's those moments where someone's talking to me and I think they're a complete buffoon and I want to set their face on fire and I want to put it out with a fork. I love my HRT so much, I call them my happy pills, and every morning when I take them, I sing a little song. So ladies, that was my top 13, unlucky for some, tips for hot flushes. I hope you found them useful. Try one or two, try them all. What I'm really looking forward to is reading your comments. Please, please, if you have your own hints and tips and you'd like to share them, write them below. And then in a future episode, I'll feature them. Don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button to get your regular updates. Itchy nose. Ah, I like that, that's nice. My top tip number 4 is... Does my chin look big in this? Look at that. I'm having a hot flush. Excuse me a second. Oh, I feel like Kate Winslet in Titanic. Oh, look at me, Jack, I'm flying. Oh, this looks wonky now. Stair climbing. Sorry.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and days